Eugene Frazier, retired military, United States Army. Couldn't find a way in life because I wasn't going to college or anything, so there was an Army recruiter next to a barbershop where I was working, shining shoes. And I talked to the guy, and he said, well, son, he says, if you take this test and you pass it, he said, you'll be on the bus tomorrow morning. I took the test. The next morning, I was on my way to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas for basic training. In charge of the platoon, and one night while we was on a reconnaissance, my platoon ran into a North Vietnamese regiment, and they had about 12 guys out in front, and we could look up the mountains and see nothing but a whole bunch of North Vietnamese, and this squad that they had out front, I guess, was just like we did, to draw fire or anything or check it out before the other companies, all their men would walk into it. So anyway, what I did, I spotted them, and they was coming down the trail out of a mountain. So I had to rush and get my men all set up on each side of the trail, and then I had a machine gunner right in the center of the shell, and we waited until all 12 of the leading squad was right in our sight. And our machine gunner, his name was Real, never will forget him. I told him, I said, now you're gonna be the man that triggered this. So he waited until that lead man was about maybe 10 feet in front of him before he opened up fire. Cause I'm looking and I'm seeing what's happening, because I had a starlight scope, and I'm watching to see how close the regiment was from us. And all of a sudden I was gonna tell Real to go ahead and fire, and he opened burst right away. And by the time the guy, when he shot the first round, the lead man, I was falling forward, and I never will forget it, that machine gun just picked him right up and sent him right back. And then the other guys started firing. So we got all of that lead squad. And for some reason, that night, this happened about maybe 7 o'clock at night, but it had started getting really dark. And so we was kind of like in a trap, because we started getting fire from up on the mountain and stuff like this, but the enemy didn't know what we had there, because what we did, we was throwing hand grenades and we was using machine gun fire, and then all of a sudden I ended up having to call in to the base and call in artillery fire to support us. So we got the artillery fire coming in, and they always have this illumination round that comes in first. So I gave them the coordinates of where we was, and that illumination round came in just right. It was about 150 meters in front of us. So what I did when the parachute was coming down, I said, oh, a fire for effect. That's what you have to do if you think that you're in the right position. So they start firing for effect, and the artillery rounds was hitting just like I wanted them. So I had to move them like 50 yards forward, 50 yards to the right or left, front or rear, whatever it was. And we did that for about, I guess, a couple of hours, and then things quieted down. And so everything was settled, so I told the men just be quiet. All of a sudden we started getting fire again, and we was about out of ammunition. So I had to call in for ammunition, and we had a helicopter that come in, and what I did, around a small perimeter, I had C4. We used to carry C4 on us. And I said, I was talking to the helicopter, I said, we're not going to light this C4 until you get close to the area. So when I heard the chopper coming, I had them to light the C4, and I told them to drop the ammunition right there. And so they had it in a big old crate. And man, that helicopter came in and dropped it right where we wanted. He started getting fire when he came in, but he was able to come in, drop it, and take off and go. And then we was able to get our ammunition, and then we started just throwing hand grenades, everything we could, so the enemy didn't get to us. But the next morning, What we found that we had, I think, 7 KIAs that we was able to get, and we captured like 6 AK-47s that was there.